Greetings, I am Elasa. I want to share with you guys about superposition and particle acceleration, some thoughts that are coming to me before I begin my day here. And so the first thing is superposition. So when we're understanding quantum physics, that, when something is in superposition, it means a particle is showing up at two or more places at one time. And depending on when you focus on it or where your focus is or your frequency that you're at, then you're going to experience the probability of that particle either showing up to you or not, depending if it's in like a gross matter state, an antimatter state, or a dark matter state. One of those three, one will be more visible and one will not be more visible. And so we want to just give you an idea of there's, multiple probabilities. And let's say these waves that when we're looking at a wave, or we're looking at when something collapses in on itself and creates a particle of light. So when a wave function collapses, it's a particle. How does it collapse? We would actually have to focus on it. And so once, when you're in meditation and you're in deep space, you're in deep, open, just like super witness pose, you're in pure awareness, maybe you don't have anything coming to you, but all of a sudden you have a thought which evokes a feeling and gives off a neuropeptide in the body that then creates a vision or a feeling, like a knowing vision, where behind your two eyes, all of a sudden you have, this, let's say you're requesting to yourself that you want to see the highest probability. You want to see the highest version life, your highest and best life. And so from that wave, you then will particleize and see a scene where particles are folding in, are stacking up on themselves to show you the scene of your best life. Whereas maybe something in your day that prompted this meditation, you were in a lower version reality, and the waves, when you focused in on your life, maybe some old dense feelings came up, maybe others around you had dense feelings. And so, essentially you're involved in that. And you then had lower thoughts, lower feelings that was producing, a lower point of view. And then particleizing, the same particles that are in these other probabilities are particleizing to show up differently. So in superposition, you have, many particles in if this is our example, in three different probabilities, you have many particles showing up depending on where your focus is at different places. Okay. So if I'm down here and I'm in meditation, depending on where my focus is, let's say it's focused on the highest and best life, these particles that were essentially, in the lower probability and in the middle probability are going to show behind my two eyes in my vision and the things that I am thinking and visioning at a higher stacked up light particle vision behind my two eyes. Then when I open my eyes in my day and I'm present, the same particles that could have been producing a lower version reality in my waking day will be lifted in frequency because I've, tuned myself to a higher frequency subset, higher visions, higher thoughts, higher feelings. And then when I open my two eyes and I stay present, I, work on feeling good during the day. If I do have lower emotions, I process them, I gather the nuggets of gold and I understand them. And then I compost those particles to rise up into higher frequencies through understanding. And then I'm able to particleize out in front of me, a better scene, a better reality. And even when things do look like like a low subset or a low probability, because of my point of view and my mindset of being positive, finding the gold, asking myself what's right about this, I'm able to pull those, it's looking at superposition, those particles from a lower frequency subset, all of a sudden they can start to vibrate higher because of my perspective and point of view to all of a sudden shapeshift. Like I've had people, situations that look completely one way shift instantly because I close my eyes, take some deep breaths, say what's right about this, or I, answer my own question, what's right about this, by saying everything always works out for me. And I open my eyes and where, the situation was a big no and a red X, it is a green light and it is a big yes. So things literally will come from one position to another and show themselves, again, depending on where you're focused and where your willingness and your awareness is allowing those wave function to collapse in on itself and particleize into a higher probability. So we're going to go into some of these other words that I'm saying in some other videos, but I just want to start to get this out to you because of some thoughts that I'm having today. Now, the other thing that comes up is about, as I was driving here, I was seeing some cumulus mackerel. I'll have to put a video, or not a video, but an image up on this video of the clouds that I was seeing this rising. They've kind of broken up, but when I was driving, Spirit was showing me, look, these clouds are showing you superposition of particles, but you're able to see all the positions that the particles are taking, all the probability, because the clouds were literally, like if these are, also lines of what I was seeing, it's like clouds were literally, really close to each other and following the same patterning. I'll just use this other drawing. They were following the same patterning row by row. And Spirit said, like, just pay attention to, you're actually seeing, like you're sitting in meditation and you're, what would be behind your two eyes to see many probabilities at once. As you're driving, you're actually seeing the clouds as image, as a reflection, as a mirror of education for yourself, that all these clouds are showing the many probabilities of all the particles that could show up in different positions. And I was like, that's really interesting. So, did I get all that out, what I was being downloaded? There's more. There's also about how the particles indeed are existing in all those places at once. And when you have clairvoyance and clear vision, you're able to see, all those probabilities and make better sense of them. And that some people, including yourself, may need to experience a seemingly lower probability because you're gaining access to be able to hold a larger witness pose, meaning you're not just focused on your individual soul, you're able to realize that beyond your soul, that you are the pure consciousness, pure ether, pure space that is all around you. So you gain more access when you do find yourself go into a low version reality, because you're gathering those particles from that position through what? Through understanding, like, where is this coming from? If all that's happening in front of me has been memorized from another timeline, and I was going to say portal, what do I need to remember? What do I need to dial into? Was I 3 years old and this has been literally stored deep down in my kidneys and now it's projecting out in front of me for whatever reason of, that memorized material is coming back out in a cycle, and I can gain understanding and clarity, like, all the cast of characters involved, they all had deep feelings within this lower subset. And by me being in it and being super conscious, being able to see a bigger perspective, I'm then able to, again, gain the clarity, gain the understanding. And once I understand what was going on with myself at a very, core conception point that is literally infinitely projecting itself all the way to this now moment for myself and others, then I can go, I really understand, and I can change my point of view possibly, where let's say at 3 years old, I was seeing it as like, opposite of love. I was memorizing that I wasn't love, that I was fear, or I was feeling fear, whether it's a noun or a verb. I can then make a new choice, and I can gather that understanding of that this is okay. All is okay. We are infinitely okay. I am infinitely okay. I am just seeing moments in time where particles of light got frozen in a lower density because of misunderstanding, a misperception. What sin means, to miss the mark. I was, sitting on myself through lower thoughts, forgetting that I was actually pure love and everybody around me was pure love. And so that gives me a new moment of this new now to go, I bring love into this situation. I see the wholeness. I see the highest timeline. I allow the highest timeline to be loved, both a noun and a verb. I am love. Everyone is love. Everything works out for me, always. And so lastly, what Spirit was bringing up was about that myself, others, and when we come together in like the center for meditation and gatherings, we are huge particle accelerators. So when we realize what is a particle accelerator, it's something that accelerates particles, right? It makes them go really fast and increases their frequency so that they can actually do quantum tunneling, so that they can launch themselves into higher probability, those particles, typically, because the higher the frequency, usually the higher probability. The faster it's going, it's literally able to hold a higher bliss state, which then occupies the whole field and gives us wholeness, which is what we want. When we're in wholeness, we're in greater understanding, we're in pure love. We know who we are, why we are, and what we came for, which is to make the most amazingness possible. So what Spirit was telling me is that you guys need to understand that when you come together in meditation at a distance, in the presence at the center, you guys are like a big particle accelerator. You have the potential to accelerate the particles of light to the highest probability through your feelings and through your thoughts. These are things we know, right? Heart and mind coherence. When we have heart and mind coherence, meaning we're thinking love, we're feeling love, we know love, we're thinking high probability, we feel high probability, we have full worth and allowance. We then not only for ourselves can launch into higher version realities, but we can actually, through group work, vision quest behind our two eyes as a group and see the best potentials, the best probabilities for all, not just for you, but for everybody. You can visualize the most amazing groups. You could think about schools, businesses, wildlife, anything possible. And you can literally particle accelerate, quantum tunnel, and jump into these higher version realities, because you're then quantum entangling with that which you're putting your focus on. And then it's lining up with the feelings of the allowance and the worth to have it, to experience it, to exist in it. Then when you open your eyes as a group, you literally have allowed yourself to align into this highest, best life timeline. Okay, I hope that helps. We look forward to sharing with you more. Have an amazing day, and until next time, be well. Know that you have all the potential to live the best life now. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Leave in the comments any questions, any moments that you had, and we'll see you soon.